So this is what the diagrammatic representation showing that so different cartilages you will find. For example, you can take this is the thyroid membrane. So where this is attaching with the help of this thyroid ligament to the thyroid cartilage. This is the largest cartilage, and next to this will be one more ligament you will find, cricothyroid. Why we are calling it as cricothyroid? So this is present between cricoid cartilage and the thyroid cartilage. So in between that is to be attached thyroid cartilage with cricoid cartilage with the help of this cricothyroid ligament. Like I told you, when you continue with this and the larynx will get opens into next part of this windpipe, we can call it as trachea. And that trachea will be halfly or incompletely anterior most region you will find hyaline cartilages. That cartilages we can call it as cartilagenous rings, and these cartilagenous rings will protect the trachea from collapsing. So this is what the next continuation part. Previous to this will be up to cricoid cartilage. So different cartilage, how these are arranged in the larynx region, you should remember. First we have completed epiglottis. So this is about the epiglottis. What is that main important role? And this is to be made up of which type of cartilage. And next to this will be next the second one. We'll start with this thyroid cartilage. So I've already told you that thyroid cartilage is also single in number. Single in number in the sense for this is also unpaired one. And one more important thing about this thyroid cartilage is, so thyroid cartilage is the largest cartilage. So the diagrammatic representation that only shows that this is the largest cartilage among 9. Largest cartilages among the 9. So total 9 cartilages are there, including the paired and unpaired. Out of 9, so this is the largest one. Are you getting my point? So this is the largest cartilage, and this cartilage is made up of hyaline. Underline this word, made up of hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage. So this is what the thyroid cartilage. And in that thyroid cartilage, you will find a projection, prominency. So that projection will form. That projection we can call it as a that projection. So thyroid cartilage will have a projection. That projection we can call it as a laryngeal prominence. Underline this word. We can call it as laryngeal prominence. So this laryngeal prominence will get formed in the thyroid cartilage. This is nothing but a projection from this thyroid cartilage. This laryngeal prominence we can also call it as Adam's apple. So in this region it forms a Adam's apple. So this prominency will be more in men than that of this female organism. So this is what one line information about second one, thyroid cartilage. And next to thyroid cartilage will be third one. So this is one ligament you will find between thyroid and cricoid, and this ligament we called as cricothyroid ligament. So this structure always you should remember, then only you can easily come to know. Right? So after completion of that thyroid cartilage, and next we'll move towards the cricoid cartilage. Cricoid cartilage. Next third one you write it down. That is also unpaired one. Cricoid cartilage. So this is also single one, unpaired one. So this is made up of hyaline cartilage. This is also made up of in this hyaline cartilage. So this will be look like signet ring. You already know what is meant by that signet ring. It will be looking like a signet ring like structure, and that signet ring like structure, that is nothing but cricoid cartilage is made up of with this hyaline cartilage. So all three over. So these three are unpaired cartilages, and next to this will be cuneiform, corniculate, and one more then followed by arytenoid. All three are the paired cartilages. Total 9 cartilages you will find in the larynx region. So this is what the structure of larynx, then followed by including thyroid cartilage. And in most of the NEET examination, out of 9 cartilage, which is the largest one, they will ask. Which is the largest one? Thyroid cartilage. So thyroid cartilage is the largest cartilage among the 9. Among the 9. This point you have to concentrate importantly. So next to this will be within that larynx, you will find vocal cords. About one line information you have to remember, vocal cords. Where you will find exactly vocal cords within that larynx region. So within that larynx region, you will find two pairs of mucous membranes. So underline this word. So two pairs of mucous membranes you will find. Folds of mucous membrane. Two pairs of folds of mucous membrane. Folds of mucous membrane. And these mucous membrane are made up of, means vocal cords. Two pairs you will find made up of yellow elastic tissue. Made up of yellow elastic tissue. Underline this word, made up of with this yellow elastic tissue. That is very important. Yellow elastic tissue. So this yellow elastic tissue will have this flexible nature. What are those two pairs of vocal cords? I will discuss. So these two are very important during sound production, and mainly one pair of vocal cord we can call it as a upper pair are called false vocal cords. Upper pair are called false vocal cords. Then next one more pair, lower pair. Lower pair. I have already told you that vocal cords are two pairs. Upper pair, two are false vocal cords, and the lower two are true vocal cords. So mainly sound production to be done by these true vocal cords. Main sound production. Sound production will be with the help of these true vocal cords. False vocal cords will be involved in that process, but actually, so that sound will be produced by true vocal cords. And one more important thing you should remember that. So in this true vocal cords, overall general vocal cords are thicker and longer. Underline this one and put one star mark. So vocal cords are very thicker and longer in men than in women. Why like this? So this is all depends on second sexual character. That's all depends on hormonal regulation of reaching the puberty. So and what is that used by thicker and longer? Of reaching puberty, change in the voice of both males and females takes place. That's what males will have thicker and longer vocal cords. That's what they will always have slow. So vibrations always slow. So vibrations always slow. That's what they will show always low pitch voice. Low pitch voice is the second sexual character of male after reaching puberty. Are you getting my point? But loudness will be there, pitch will be lower. And this pitch will be lower in male and higher pitch you will find in females. Higher pitch voice you will find in females. Females will, after reaching the puberty, they will have this high pitch voice. So once again, one more thing you should remember that. So this pitch depends on tension of these vocal cords. Depends on vocal cord tension. If the higher tension, if the vocal cords will have more tension, then pitch will be higher. higher pitch. Higher pitch loudness will come. So that's all depends on you have to differentiate between the pitch of voice in females as well as in males. That's all depends on thickness and longerness of this vocal cords in both males and females. So why like this means that's all depends on hormonal regulation in both the males and females of reaching puberty. So this is what you have to remember about vocal cords. And the vocal cords, when they will get produced out, when during expiration process. This is very important. During expiration process. During expiration process, what will happen? So while exhaling out of the air, when contraction takes place, intrapulmonary pressure will increases, and that pressure only that air will, foul air will come out of the lung, and through this conducting zone, when it reaches so to the true vocal cords, and when this vibration will begin in the true vocal cord, and during expiration process only this sound will get produced. And sometimes what will happen? So we can call it as karkasha sound. So that sound may be produced by slow vibration of this false vocal cords. Usually false vocal cords won't be involved in this sound production. Main involvement of this sound product during sound production, that is vocal cords, that is only during the expiration process, not during the inspiration process. At this point also you have to remember about the vocal cords. So by this we'll complete this vocal cords, and after that we'll start with this next pipe. After this larynx, we'll start with this trachea. So next to write it down, next to fourth or third part, trachea. So trachea is a tube. So trachea is a long tube. You can note it down. This is better. Long tube. And this long tube is lined by. So when you take a diagram of lungs now. So in that lungs, this is what we will consider as, starting from here, lungs directly we are taking. This is what the epiglottis structure. And then this will get opens into windpipe, and this is what a long tube, we can call it as trachea. And this trachea, inner lining of the trachea is lined by, underline this word, pseudo stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelium. So this word you should remember always. What is that main important role by lining of this pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar? It means that usually within the trachea, so this is also lined by mucus glands. Along with this epithelium, this is also lined by mucus glands. What is that main important role of this mucus glands in the tracheal region? Secretion of mucus. Secretion of mucus. What is that main important role of that secreted mucus in the trachea? Whatever air we will inhale, sometimes dust particles may not get filtered in that particular nasal cavity. That is by, so one part of this nasal cavity will have this filtration process. In that part, some whatever unfiltered dust particles may enter into the next part, that is larynx. So thereby they can ultimately reach into the trachea. In trachea, so what will happen by secretion of this mucus, that is to be lined by pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar. So first it will trap all the dust particles in the trachea, and with the help of the ciliated epithelium, so rolling movement will be there, and thereby through this trachea, that mucus along with the dust particles, it may reach to epiglottis, and ultimately this is reaching to pharynx region, where through this pharynx this spitting action will begin. Whatever dust particles are there, sometimes so many people they will spit more times. Why? Because of during inhalation process something has already entered through this nasal cavity, means ultimately that dust particle, microbe, whatever may be, that trapping will be taking place in the tracheal region, that is a long tube. So this is present to be in thoracic region. So where trapping takes place with the help of mucus glands by secretion of mucus. After trapping all the dust particles, that movement is very important towards this upper side. So that is to be done by the ciliated columnar epithelial cell. So with the help of that cilia, they will have upward movement of this whatever secreted mucus along with the dust particles. It may reach us to pharynx or throat, and thereby by spitting action will spit out whatever dust particles to be present in that tracheal region. So this is what the main important pipe. The one primary function means conduction of air or movement of air towards the lungs, and second function by presence of mucus gland, so that will be trapping the dust particle and thereby it will be exhaling out of the body. This is nothing but in the form of mucus. Along with that mucus, it will be expelled out of the body. So this is what one line information about trachea. And one line information about another line information about trachea means, so this trachea are lined by incomplete cartilaginous rings. So these are called trachea is lined by incomplete cartilaginous rings. So these are incomplete posteriorly. These are incomplete posteriorly. Why these are complete only anterior most region? Here you can easily observe. So when you have this Adam's apple here, and next to this will be continuation of trachea. In previous, I've already drawn one diagram in that showing that cartilaginous rings. So these cartilaginous rings are incomplete, not complete. So these are complete in anteriorly, and these are incomplete posteriorly. So why these are anteriorly means, so during swallowing of food, here esophagus will find, so sometimes here elastic nature will be there in esophagus, swelling may take place here, whatever we are eating like lard or whatever it may be. So this is the thin membrane, and the collapsing chances are more during this swallowing action. So that is to be this incomplete cartilaginous rings, so in the anterior most region, and that's what, so half ring like C-shaped rings you will find like this. So this is anterior most region, this is covering, and posterior most region is not complete one. So these are called cartilaginous rings. So these cartilaginous rings are again made up of hyaline cartilage. So this point you have to remember. What is the main important role of this incomplete cartilaginous rings? So these incomplete cartilaginous rings are involved in it prevents collapsing of trachea during swallowing or during inspiration process. It may prevent the collapsing of trachea during the swallowing process. Why? Because backside you will find esophagus, so mechanical injury chances will be there. Why? Because this trachea is a very thin membranous structure, collapsing chances are more. So that's what, to protect or to prevent the collapsing of trachea during swallowing process. So this is very important function to be done by incomplete cartilaginous rings. So how this is to be made up of? Means you should remember that. So those cartilaginous rings are made up of with this hyaline cartilage, and then followed by, so these cartilaginous rings are 16 to 20 in number. This number is also very important. So number will be 16 to 20 in number. So they will not be only in that tracheal region. It may divide the trachea into bronchi. In that bronchi also will find, and in initial bronchioles also will find these incomplete cartilaginous rings. Total number will be between 16 to 20 will find. Up to where these are extended, up to there they can protect that particular pipe. So from this, whatever during inspiration process or in the initial part of this trachea means, it may protect from this, what we call it as swallowing, during swallowing process, that is to be preventing from this collapsing. So this completes the trachea, and from the next class onwards, we'll start with this next. It may divide in the fifth thoracic vertebrae into two primary bronchi. So from bronchi onwards, we'll start bronchi, then opens into bronchiole, initial bronchiole, then terminal bronchioles, then terminal bronchioles again opens into respiratory bronchioles, and respiratory bronchiole once again opens into what we'll call it as alveolar ducts. You will find alveolar ducts will again get opens into alveolar sacs, and alveolar sacs will again opens into alveoli. So up to that alveoli, so we'll complete tomorrow. Up to here, so up to trachea, I think all of you understood. So how that air will be conducting, and what linings to be there, and what different cartilages you will find, and how they will have different functions. Up to this, we'll conclude here only. So next part we'll complete in next class. Thank you.